Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Present.
Scott.
Present.
Mark.
Here.
Stephanie is absent. Dale is here. Look over the agenda.
The only thing that's changed since I sent it last night is I did have a Games of Chance permit come through my email, so if we could get that.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by John to approve the agenda with the addition of Games of Chance permit. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Look over the May 6th meeting minutes.
There's one mistake, I think.
Okay.
That Chairman Pierce up on the floor with 20 seconds. Motion by Tranby to approve 22nd minutes, and that's a second by Tranby.
Oh. Yep.
So I don't know who seconded it.
I will get that changed.
Yep. So anyway.
Perfect.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and dispense with the reading as amended.
Motion by Mark to approve the minutes as corrected and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Dale.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bills.
There is one that was in on time, but when Maddie was going through to get them all alphabetized, she discovered that she missed inputting one. It is for Creative Product Source Inc. for the Sheriff's Office for cleaning supplies for $211.45. So if we could get that added, please.
How much was it for?
$211.45.
Does the county agent have a travel budget?
He does, but I think it was taken down because you guys said that he should take some of his fuel out of the weed. Let me go.
I was just wondering if he shouldn't use his own travel budget before he uses the weeds travel budget.
Okay. Let me go in here and look.
Or he wanted it or requested extra and we gave him from the weed, but he should pull from his own budget
First,
I
yeah.
would think.
For some reason, my laptop is taking longer to.
Why is he pulling from the weed budget anyway?
You guys agreed to that. That he wanted to up his travel in the county agent, but you guys agreed that he could take some of the travel out of the weed for fuel during the budget discussion.
I think that's because the budget was in place when we hired him, so I think that's what something Troy suggested, if I remember right.
County agent. Yep, he does have 3,000 in travel within his budget. And how much of that has been spent year to date? April. Agent travel expenses. He's only spent $362 out of there, so he still has $2,637. Would you
How
like
much is left in the weed?
in the weed? Weed, fuel. There is $1,685.
And what do you start with there?
2.
2?
Because he wanted 5, I think, and so there was 3 in the county agent and 2 in here. Would you like to get that changed?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would, if you guys think that's appropriate.
So just those 2 to Griggs County for the 2742 and the 4173?
Yeah,
Is that correct?
I mean, that way we have a way of monitoring to see if the budget was sufficient for the fuel in the first place. And if it isn't,
because the weed may want to use some fuel,
right.
and if he spends all the weed first
Yeah.
before his own,
Right.
is it? Can we go back in time? He's been doing that before, and take that out of.
Yep, I can make those
Yeah,
corrections.
I
Yep.
would do that too.
Okay. And if you guys look at the bottom of page 4, there is the North Dakota School Boards Association. This is for the superintendent of schools. Dues. We haven't paid it in the past. I don't know if you guys want to. I did go to the the school awards was that yesterday? And they are still doing the spelling bee and all that stuff, and that's what the superintendent of schools does. I don't know if we want to offer it to them maybe, or to the school if they want to be a part of this, because the most that I do with the superintendent of schools is I just have the records, the school records in a closet. So if somebody needs their school records for like a name change or something like that, we can go back in and they'll usually use that. But I don't know if this is maybe beneficial more to the schools and not to us, because they're taking care of the duties and the bus driver training and the spelling bees and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're already paying it.
Right.
The association.
Sure they are.
If we haven't done it before, I don't see any reason in doing it now.
Would you like me to send this off to the schools, or just not pay it and we'll just bill?
Yeah, they're already paying their share.
Okay.
because all the school board members are part of it,
Okay.
and so is the superintendent.
Okay.
They're more than double dipping.
Yeah,
That's just another bureaucratic organization that's trying to fund themselves off of the
We-
taxpayers for.
We were a part of it when I first started, and I did go to the conference, but since then the conferences have only gone down, and nobody's really going to them. So yeah.
It's kind of like having a wood chip, you get rid of it when you find out you have it.
Okay, so I will take that one off.
There's really not a need for those organizations when there's usually only one school or less than one school per county anymore. There's nothing to coordinate between districts.
No, it just.
Now, I'll make a motion to approve the budgets as taken out, the school board one, and then the other one,
Adding the
add in the,
creative product
Product
source.
yeah.
For $211.45. Okay. Motion by Scott to approve the vouchers with the exception of the North Dakota High School Board or North Dakota School Board Association dues for $200 and add Creative Products Incorporated for $211.45. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. John,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Wayne, what do you got for us today?
Not a lot. Well, Paul did send out his project update report, and he was working on getting numbers from the state for the chip seal project, which he did get. And then we were discussing those gravel spots on County Road 8. Wondering if we could overlay them at the same time as we're doing these chip seals. And so we asked the state if that was possible, and they said it could be. So it's just up to you guys to decide whether or not to go ahead with it. He will come up with some numbers, but he had something else going on today, so he didn't make it. County has $417,200 available in federal aid through fiscal year 2021. And our annual allotment is $150,487. And we could borrow 3 years ahead, which we would almost have to do. We'd have to do that to do the complete chip seals, approximately $843,300. We don't know until the bids are let, but so if it's 843,000, then we paid 19.07% of that. The local share would be 151,509.22. That's with that adding the 48,810.09 of COVID relief funds. Because we have the 48,810, that was subtracting it from the 843,300. So that it gets to be 794,489. 19% of that would be 151, 509.22. And you can use the COVID funds with a project, but you can't use it for matching. So that would lower the overall cost. We had the rain last night, and some people drove on that road, and there was water standing in the ruts. It's been so dry and hard, you couldn't blade it, you know. So he was out there today, this morning, or after dinner, and bladed it. But just something to think about as far as safety. We did have one little accident there, but I don't think it was caused by that. It was just distracted driving or something. There's signs up that says 35 and everything, so.
How far is the water down?
Quite a ways.
It's down probably that, maybe
Couple feet, sure.
foot and a half. So I don't think we have to worry about raising it up anymore, but unless it keeps raining.
Who knows?
Who knows? But, yeah. That's something just to
Which
consider.
COVID funds are these?
COVID funds,
Are they the ones we drew for the, from, is this what we drew funds out of for the senior citizens?
No,
oh,
no.
These are specifically tied to,
Those were the
Road
CARES,
department?
those were the CARES Act funds. This is for the road department.
strictly for the road department?
I think so, yeah.
county COVID relief allocations.
Yeah.
This is a copy of
And
that.
how much is in there?
48,000. That's the cover letter there, and then in the back is the list of the different amounts for different counties.
But you don't get much bang for your buck because you pay 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
You get 100% there. You know, there's no match with that.
It can't be used with the match.
It can't be used for the match.
Right.
It can be used with the principal or the.
It just comes out of
cost.
principle, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically just, instead of borrowing ahead, you're using federal dollars the same. You don't gain anything by spending that money on it.
Because if you can borrow ahead, then for every dollar you borrow ahead, you get, I mean, you got the 80% match. If this doesn't do it, it just gets rid of, it just reduces the overall amount.
Yeah. You'd have a savings of $9,308 in matching funds by using that 48,000. Because you'd reduce the principal by $48,810.08.
Right, so you spend 48,000 to save 9.
Right. Otherwise, you'd spend that yourself.
Well,
Otherwise, you'd take the 9,000 to come out of your local funds.
right, but it gets, for every 9,000 you spend, you get 48,000 in return. It's 90% match, so that's why you,
Well, that's why you, if you borrow ahead, then of course,
Right. yeah.
you take your funds up till 2025 or something like that.
Right.
So you wouldn't have anything.
Well, you would still have the 48,000 of COVID funds that you didn't
Right.
spend, yeah.
It has to be spent on a road project?
Yeah, it says in there, you can spend it for other stuff, but then you've got to use the Title VI. You got to make sure you're Title VI compliant. You could buy me a $40,000 pickup if you wanted to.
Or Bobcat?
Or
Yeah,
Bobcat.
yeah.
Have you gone on and got these funds?
You can't get them until you apply for a project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't get the money until you have a project to spend it on.
So we could get a different plow truck.
Yeah, we're thinking one with a water tank in the back, so we could
Keep the dust.
water the roads. I've had a few complaints about dusty yards, but
I'm guessing the one up by 34, I'm guessing. On Rinks that used to live at, they do.
oh, yeah, he hasn't said anything.
Okay.
Or did he? Say something?
No.
Well, you know what? It's probably easier to move the house than move the road.
Yeah.
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 September 2024 is the drop dead date to have to be spent by, so.
I mean, if we can use it for equipment, that would be a much better bang for the buck than spending it like you're saying, where it's just giving them the,
Yeah, again,
you know, if we,
in that scenario, we spend $48,000 to save $9.
yeah. Or if we could use it for equipment, we'd save $48,000.
That's right.
Right?
Well, if we use it for a non-match qualified item.
Yeah, yeah.
So theoretically, according to that, you could use it to offset a budget expense, an equipment budget expense, or a personnel budget expense.
Then I got a letter back from the BNSF State Highway crossing manager about our crossing by Elda Hogan's. I sent a copy to Dale. April 27th, 2021, a crossing diagnostic was conducted and the findings are as follows. DOT 093137A, the single mainline crossing on a local gravel road east of Hannaford. In Griggs County, approach speeds are 55 miles per hour. Traffic count's been requested for 113th Avenue Southeast. The train counts and speed are 20 trains per day at 70 miles per hour. Crossing is at a slight skew with a hill in the northwest or northeast quadrant. Crossing is on a bus route with 4 buses per day. The latest annual average traffic daily count is 40 vehicles per day, which 10 are trucks. Seasonal foggy conditions also exist at this location. The crossbuck assembly is compliant. The current federal MUTCD standards and the advanced warning signs were in place. The FRA crash predictor has this crossing ranked at 309. Crossing's 5-year crash history is 0. For FRA records, the most recent crash was 13 years ago. Determination. North Dakota DOT records indicate a diagnostic team had previously visited crossing May 14th, 2015. It was determined by that team at that time the crossing had adequate protection at the current track speed and AADT. At that time the crossing was placed in the pool of prioritized applicants for signalization and has been monitored and reevaluated annually by the state. The most recent reevaluation determined the crossing risk value at 110.878. This does not elevate the crossing over the threshold to be funded for active warning at this time. Conclusion, taking into consideration all school buses are required to stop at rail crossings, discussion of installing stop signs was discarded as a supplemental safety measure. The crossing has adequate protection and will continue to be monitored and remain on the pool of potential candidates. If you have any additional concerns, comments, or questions, please provide them via email to jstyron@northdakota.gov. These findings will be placed in the appropriate file for future reference. Thank you for your participation and support of the rail safety in North Dakota.
How much was the crossing again? $250,000?
30,000 or something like that, I think.
So it basically did it look like it went up in ranking, or is that just?
Well, it didn't say what, I don't know what that 309
Yeah, I didn't
is.
say that, that's what I'm
No,
trying to
they said no change. Well, if I understood when you were reading that, it had no change in ranking.
Does not elevate the cross, the
Okay.
threshold
Yeah.
to be funded. But I don't think there's anything you request me to
figure.
mail to him or anything.
No.
So, I don't know why couldn't there be just a simple flashing stop sign or something?
Well, that would,
That when the train's coming from down the rail, why couldn't they put up some kind of, with all the big cross arms and all that stuff? That's where your 200 and some thousand.
yeah, all that, yeah.
But,
Well, so
I know there's
the
a,
liability risk to them, and I don't agree with the way they look at that, but once they put in a
stop sign,
crossing or a
flashing lights.
stoplight, then they are totally responsible to make sure that thing is maintained and always functioning.
Yeah,
And so it actually increases their liability to put hazards devices in there.
Make sure it's working all the time.
And being self-insured,
Yeah.
they watch that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's the reason behind it,
Yeah.
is it worth
Admit
it to
there's a
them?
liability.
Yeah, they look at it as
Yeah.
from a liability issue.
Yeah. So,
How's our gravel piles done?
still sitting there.
I mean, how many do we have out?
We have 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, actually.
How many dollars are worth in each one?
I don't know how many yards there's left. We are planning on graveling County Road 26 next week, taking out of the Dennis Haugen gravel pile, which we don't own, but they want to get that cleaned out of there, so we were gonna do it, depends upon how wet it is now, stuff. And if Gilbertson's can free up a loader operator and loader to load us, because they wanna weigh it.
Oh, it's not wet west of the river.
Yeah, it was dry before.
Or east of the river, it's not wet, I'll tell you that. We didn't get any rain, so.
You didn't.
No.
Huh.
Maybe this afternoon, hopefully.
Yeah. So then they were gonna get a pile put up over by the Hoggle brothers over there, but they decided they didn't want to sell any more, so. Dave and Perry. But we still got a pile up at Eberhardt's up there, Claire's, west of Binford. And Resloff Pit. And in Campbell's.
Oh,
We have enough out of the Hogan pit to do that? We'll be short.
Be short. We're gonna start at like Alan Stucca's road there.
Yep.
And then gravel back to the river. And
Okay.
then hopefully there's enough to go on the east mile there. I guess we could do that first. It's not quite a mile, but, and then we'll finish it with Resloff's.
Oh.
That's one of the few roads that didn't have many soft spots on it.
No, I drive that's the route on the bus, I stop once in a while, and it's.
There's a couple spots, but.
But it's pretty good, the road's pretty good, it really is, so, yeah.
Where we fixed over west of the elevator at Hanford, that seemed to hold together very
Yeah,
nicely.
it's held up good.
well, we didn't get 16 inches of snow last fall.
You know.
I mean, a world of difference when these roads froze up dry.
Yeah, wasn't a whole lot of loose float on that, the loose gravel. It's getting to be a little more. But Other than that, I think we're good.
All right, thank you, Wayne.
Everything
Guys.
seems to be running all right, trucks are in radio.
Well, they've been working on them, and then they just worked on them some more and welded a few frames and a few
There you go.
boxes.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yep.
It's workman's comp is just FYI.
Yep. So that first one is because I do apply for a safety discount each year, so we did get approved for that, so that's great. And then that last one is it started last year and we continued it this year. We are participating in LMS. And so the employees take a webinar training, safety training every quarter, and we are in a pool with the rest of the state, so it's kind of everybody's a team on that. So we do get a discount for that. So that's some good news.
Right. Like we have a application for a permit for a game of chance from
Red Willow Lake Youth.
It's pretty fuzzy. what they-
Yeah, so she sent it in an email because she wasn't able to get here, get to town in time to drop it off. But it's to improve their park equipment down there. So they are going to do a little raffle.
I'll make a motion to approve the game of chance permit.
Motion by Mark to approve games chance permit. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Burn ban. We leaving it in place, or are we taking her down?
I make a motion, we take it off.
It's rain,
It's rained, I guess, but
Starting to green up.
starting to green up.
Okay, we have a motion by John to remove the burn ban. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mark.
Actually, it was a burn
Or
advisory.
advisory, right?
Did its job.
No, common sense did its job. We're not taking any
Give us
responsibility other
some
than,
credit on that.
we're not taking any responsibility other than the stupidity of a
Yeah.
rig.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of removing the burn advisory, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have anything for the tax director?
Nothing from me.
Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Just received an email email update from the NDSU.
They're gonna send us a little more bill. they billed us the total amount of their contract, now they're gonna send us a little more bill, is that kind of what I understood?
Why would they be expected to know how much it's gonna cost?
Yeah,
Any ideas how much it's gonna be?
We're just going through the motions that we'll never get through. We keep doing this forever.
Oh, I can't hope that happens. I gotta hope for the good future.
Okay.
Maybe somebody will come along and buy it. Then we can't sell
Can't
it.
even do that, because
No.
they'd have to buy it with the, they'd have to assume all the responsibilities that we have to assume.
Yeah.
And maybe you'd find somebody to do that, but I can't imagine how. The only people silly enough to do that are elected officials.
Yeah.
And you would never believe it, but it actually happened.
future business. I think possibly by our next meeting, we might have the building authority stuff in order.
Yeah, Troy's been doing a lot of work with it. What happened was, for some reason, the correspondence between the state and the building authority was not being sent to the courthouse address like everything else was. It was being sent to the building authority member's address, and no one ever forwarded it to us. So we became delinquent as far as the registration for the building authority corporation. So we were delinquent with the Secretary of State, and we never knew it. Everything that's been going on for 7 years kept getting sent to the same address and no response, and the person it was being sent to never forwarded to us, and then that person ceased to exist. So the first thing we knew about it is when we tried to go ahead and move forward with this refinancing, and the building authority wasn't a corporation in good standing.
So now it's before a judge in Burleigh County.
Yeah, so Troy went through the motions, and we had to hire a lawyer, we had to take it before a judge in Burleigh County to get it reinstated, and I think that's gonna happen. So, it was, I guess maybe neglect, but it can't be neglect either. It was one of those things that happened.
Right now it's
Why would
under
they
Troy
send-
versus Al Jaeger is on
Yeah.
the docket.
Why would they send that information to an individual of the building authority and not copies to the courthouse?
Or if it was getting sent back, why they didn't contact my office. That's kind of what I was wondering.
So, the building authority by purpose had to be an independent private entity because
Mhm.
of the whole scheme involved with the lease, yeah. So, why the Secretary of State didn't follow up, don't know. The biggest question I have is, we pay a pretty good amount of money every year to the Bank of North Dakota in their position as a trustee, which is exactly to safeguard against
Yeah.
against this happening, and they never mentioned a word of it.
No.
The trustee is in place in case the entity, the building authority, ceases to exist.
Sure.
Well, it ceased to exist, and the trustee never did anything about it.
They cashed the check.
except send us the bill every year
Yeah.
for being the trustee.
Yeah, we sent them a check and they were happy, all of that.
Yeah, and so I just chalk it up to governmental incompetence. So now we're going to register that. I believe if the rest of the commission agrees with this, we're going to use the courthouse mailing address in care of the chairman of the building authority.
Sure.
That way Samantha will get to see it,
Yeah, I
and
can't
it'll
remember
get
why
passed
that
on to
wasn't
the
done in
chairman,
the
which
first
is
place.
Troy. Well, I think there was a certain amount of vengeance involved in what happened.
Yeah.
And it's water under the bridge, we got it fixed,
Yeah.
and
Gotta fix
it's
it.
not gonna cost us a lot of money. The interest rate has risen a little bit. And the bill for this will, it's part of doing business, so the county will have to pay the legal fees in order to, I don't think that's gonna be a lot of money. I don't think we're putting a lot of time on it.
No, I think that attorney's $250 an hour, and he'll
Yeah.
sting us for a couple $1,000, I suppose.
I'm sure. So, I doubt within the next 10 years we'll be faced with doing this again. The interest rates can't get much lower, so
Sure.
there's not enough margin, I think, to
Yeah. Mess with.
mess with it. So this will probably be the final task of the building
Would
authority.
you say there's 10 years left?
11.
11?
We'll make a payment in May now, is that right? Or do we make a payment in May?
I don't know.
Yeah, the $25,000 payment is in May. Or 28, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I have that schedule in my office for that.
So will that be the next meeting, do you think?
Yeah, if it gets handled in a timely manner, that should come together by then, I would think.
And then what's the next step? Then it's just then it's put out to the public for,
Yeah, I think the offer goes out then. What I don't understand is why, with interest rates rising, why anyone would buy a bond at a low interest rate at this time. That doesn't click in my head.
yeah, other than the tax-free status of it,
Yeah, but if you could just sit on your hands for 6 months or a year, you could get a lot more favorable. Not the issuing entity won't get a more favorable rate, but the purchasing sure would. But they have different ways to look at it than I do, I guess. Anything else for the good of the order?
I make a motion we adjourn.
Motion by Mark to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We adjourned at 3:13 p.m. on March 20th. Next meeting is June 3rd at 2:30 p.m. in this building.